Hi, good afternoon. It was a pleasure speaking with all of you earlier. This is Lori Barnett, and what I thought I would do after we concluded our meeting was to quickly show you a couple of learning management system uh, actual concepts from classes that I've created, just to give you guys a look and feel for what the various modules will do. The first one that you guys see on your screen is Blackboard. And this happens to be an actual class in project management that runs for the course of the summer, and it ran last summer. So this is a 6 weeks, this spans 6 weeks, the module does, or the class does. It's a 3 credit hour class. So this would typically run over the course of the summer for 6 weeks, or it could run for a semester, which would be 16 weeks. So what I want to kind of do is just show you the layout a little bit and then send these to you really quickly. Notice that over in the left-hand column are all the different links that students have made available to them. So you have a way to make weekly announcements. You can do discussion boards where if you group people together, they would have to do various things inside those discussion forums. Probably not pertinent to what you guys are doing, but it is available. And then there are all kinds of content folders where I can put various handouts, PowerPoint slides, different documents that were specific to project management out of the PMBOK, and just different things that would be available at just a click for the student. And then notice that I've divided it up into course-related material, and then student-related material, and then writing assistance, which probably would not be pertinent to you as well. But the students can go in and view their progress, their grades. There's various help modules, which you guys probably would not have, because these kind of reference different sources of information that they can obtain on main campus. But just to give you kind of an idea of what it looks like. This area contains a place for a banner, and that banner can be any kind of an illustration or diagram that we would want it to be, and it kind of sets the module apart. And then as we go through the look and the feel, what I do is break it into weekly, I call them weekly learning modules. And I start by indicating what the books are that the student needs to purchase or rent. And in this case, there were 2 books. If I can find a picture of the book, I also add that here for the student. And then I start with various things at the top that are necessary for them to navigate inside the module correctly. So this happens to be a book that has an electronic module with it called Connect. And so there's specific instructions that they must follow in order to get started. So notice that these are all hyperlinks that take you into the next folder. And then up here at the top, these are called breadcrumbs. And breadcrumbs are just navigational ways to move forward and backward inside a module. And so to go back one step, I would just click on that breadcrumb, if you will, and that takes me back to the beginning. So as we get into the content of the class, we can do font sizes, we can do colors, we can bold, do various things for the look and feel. But what I have here is I start by telling them what the date is and the week, and that these are their individual assignments that they must complete for that week. Then to get into the loading area, if you will, or the place where they will submit their work, they will simply click on that link that says click here, and all the resources for that week I have posted in this area. So I have a video that I want them to watch. I have a quiz that I want them to take. There's a case study here that I want them to read over. And this happened to be a summer class in which I combined chapters to get through it in the 6 weeks. So notice that they have not only chapter 1, but 2 that they must work on in that week's time frame, and there's a quiz from each chapter. Then this is an assignment that requires that they refer to the book. And in your case, we could have them refer to maybe questions that we come up with. Either we could post them electronically or they could be contained here. And as they would work on the answers to these questions, they would upload them for points. So this is called a container. And this container is where they would simply browse to the location of their file, and they would attach it. And then that alerts me as the instructor that I have something that I must grade and look at. They may also submit it written electronically on Blackboard, and so that's what that means, text submission, and that prevents them from having to use Word or another program to submit their answers. It puts it right here in Blackboard. Now notice at the top how our breadcrumbs have grown, and so each of these forward-looking carrots, that's just another level that the breadcrumb has expanded itself. And so I'm going to go back. I want to go to week 1. I don't want to go all the way back to the beginning. And again, this is all the things that we can do in Blackboard in terms of lessons, walkthroughs, assessments, setup. We can do surveys and polling. We can do all kinds of different things in Blackboard to set the class up. So here's all kinds of things we can do here with different videos and wikis, and we can do surveys, assessments of their peers, all kinds of things that are available inside of Blackboard. The other thing that I quickly want to show you about Blackboard, may have to be a little careful here, but the Grade Center is where it posts everything that they've done, and it also is where we would go as instructors to grade materials that have been put into the folders for us, or the containers. And so the full Grade Center not only tells you the name of the student, but it tells you when they were last in. You can give them their ID if they lose it, and your students would have a similar login and would look similar to this. And this is where you can see the last time that they were in the module. We can also do grouping. So if there would ever be an instance where you wanted to do some things in groups, we would be able to do that. And this would be a list of all the students enrolled in that module. And then you could do various things with them from a group's perspective. These menu items under course management don't appear to the student, so they would simply have from the writing assistance forward to the top. Everything down below would be yours as an instructor or as a developer inside the course material, including some exporting and importing of various tools and utilities that we could do as well. So that is Blackboard kind of really quickly to let you kind of see the design of one module that went over the course of 6 weeks, and how we could lay that out with lesson plan modules. That's what these are called, our lesson plan modules. So then I want to jump over really quickly and show you Canvas. Canvas is another tool that I use for another university that I do adjunct work for, and Canvas is very powerful in that it's relatively easy to use. Not sure that if it sits in the cloud or on a server. I would have to find that out for you, which I could do. But it is really a user-friendly tool that allows you to do many of the same things we can do in Blackboard, just with a different look and feel. So again, this is a 16-week course on organizational behavior, and same kind of thing. I try to be consistent no matter what I'm developing, but this happens to be the first course. The January 8th was our course introduction, and underneath that I tried to list all the things that we would be doing. So we talked about the syllabus, we talked about their writing style. These are the assignments for week 1, and so they will click, and it's the same kind of thing that I just showed you in Blackboard. It just looks a little bit different here. Again, they love to use the word breadcrumbs, because notice that it's the same kind of thing. The breadcrumbs expand itself. You can go back using those, or you can also go back using these buttons along the side here that I'm pointing to. In Canvas, you may also do things like sync up your calendar. So you can do things like attach assignments to your calendar so that you know when to get an alert for grading, or when discussion posts might be due, or those kinds of things. Very cool with especially Outlook calendars and the lining up of that. You can email your students from inside Canvas. You may do the same thing in Blackboard under Course Tools, and it's similar here in Canvas, but it takes you to like an external mailbox where it knows all of your students and allows you to communicate with them. So let me go back to the home page here, which I'm just going to use the breadcrumb. And let me go down into perhaps session 2. They had a journal entry each week that they had to write. So this is what a container would look like in Canvas. And it just tells them exactly what I wanted them to write about. And the rubric could be attached if you want to do something like that. And then they have to submit with a file upload. So in Canvas, you actually dictate to the student if you're going to allow them to simply upload a file or type directly into Canvas and how you want that done. And then to the right, you can use the speed grader, which pulls everything up that needs graded really, really quickly without going to the grade book like we did in Blackboard. And a really cool feature is if they do upload something to you, you can download it and save it. And I often do that for validation purposes and auditing purposes if I need to have copies of their work. So very similar in how these tools work. It's just the look and feel is a little bit different. Again, we can add graphics to some of these modules that I've added. We can make the look and feel different colors. But this happens to be a pretty straightforward. There's an exam here, and this exam happened to be one that I loaded into Canvas, and it will give them 120 minutes to do it. They do not get multiple attempts, and I want them to be able to start it, but once they start it, the timer will begin, and they have 120 minutes before it will be due. And it will look something like this. So this happens to be a question bank that I loaded, and so I made these multiple choice questions, and I tell them exactly what chapters the material is covering, and then they will simply make their choice and submit. Tells them the point value. Now you're looking at it from an administrative perspective, but theirs does look similar, and they can go back and flag questions that they maybe want to come back to. It's just that it is timed in this case, and they must complete it in the 120 minutes that I give them. So that's the way some of the tests look. You can also attach paper tests and paper assessments, and then those could be submitted for us to print out and to grade in a different manner if we don't want it to be electronic. So this happens to be a long class. Again, this happens to go the entire 16 weeks, so a little bit longer than what I just showed you in Blackboard, but I wanted to give you a couple different views of two systems that I work with every single day. I've also used Angel and a couple others that I've done in a global environment that are used in other countries and maybe not as prevalent in the US. So I wanted to upload these to YouTube and give you guys a chance to kind of look at what these may look like in your context to see if you prefer one over the other, or if you would like me to do research on even another copy of another module or another learning management system if these do not work for you. So anyway, I will answer any questions that you guys may have after you look at this video, and be glad to help you in that search for the delivery platform that you feel might be best for US Steel Gary. Have a good evening, and we will talk soon.